Well, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Thrive City podcast, where we're having conversations for transformations. You like that?
You just made that up.
I sure did.
I don't know how you do that.
That's good.
You just come up with stuff off the top of your head.
So I'm Greg.
I'm Sarita.
We're the Coberts, and we are planting a church. Thrive City Church coming to the West Valley fall of 2024. You heard. So today we're talking about one of those subjects that, people can get a little squirmy in their seats about. A subject that it's in the Bible a lot, but we tend to, as human beings, just kind of not like having this conversation. So I think you can imagine we're going to be talking about giving, talking about money. And it's interesting.
Sorry, my bad.
It's interesting that people who believe like us, who have the same faith as us, still struggle with this conversation, as well as people who are outside of the church, because I think from what we see on TV, news, you get those people who get caught in a scandal. There was some type of fraud situation. The church only wants my money. So it's and some of those arguments, we're not being insensitive to those realities. Some of those things are
valid.
true.
Yeah.
We actually have a friend that was a part of a church that ended up coming out that something like that occurred. And, I have to have empathy for that situation. And so talking about giving is something that most people try to shy away from. Mm-hmm. But I'm just the type of person that
you're not shy about much.
I'm very you're very true, and I don't get embarrassed very easily.
No,
as
you
well.
don't.
I could do a terrible job on this podcast and make it just funny.
Yep.
I'll laugh at myself.
Yep.
But when it comes to money, here's what I say. I am always an advocate to tell people about the things that work for me. So if I go to a good restaurant, we're like this. If we go to a good restaurant,
Absolutely.
we'll be like,
we raving about it.
You got to go
Absolutely.
here. We ordered this. This wasn't too good. This was amazing. But that's just how we are.
Yeah.
If we have an experience and that experience is great, we want to tell people about the experience. Mm-hmm. When's the last time you went to a restaurant and you were just blown away?
Oh, when we went for our anniversary. This past year, we went to Maple and Ash in Scottsdale.
It's good.
So they had that smoked seafood tower.
Come on.
It was delicious.
Amazing.
It was so delicious. So
Spectacular.
See what we mean?
Awesome.
It was just great.
You need to go.
Have to go.
It's a little bit
If you
expensive.
order anything, you must order the smoked seafood tower. It was great.
Yeah, so
I don't think I've ever had smoked crab or smoked lobster before. That was
they
the first.
had that king crab that was smoked. I remember taking it out of the thing, and I was getting ready to dip it in the butter, but I felt like the spirit stopped me and said, just taste it by itself. And I tasted it by itself, and it was the glory that hit my tongue.
Not the glory.
It was the glory of the Lord that hit my tongue.
The glory of the smokedness.
Come on.
I had to say it in the King James Version.
Yeah. So when we experience something good, our natural inclination is to tell people it's good.
Yeah.
And we've been giving since we've been married. So
Absolutely.
Question for you is, when did you start tithing? When did you, you by yourself, start tithing?
When did I start tithing?
Yeah.
Or when did I took the $1 my grandma gave me and put it in the plate?
No, that wasn't your money.
Oh, that's true. Well, it was when she put it in my hand, though.
I guess
the exchange
that's true.
happened.
But here's the thing. If you had kept that money and your grandma figured out that you kept the money, you was going to get your butt whooped.
Oh, you was right. She'd make me go do the walk of shame and find a switch.
Come on.
You right about it.
And don't you get one that's too small.
Right.
Because it's going to be what's this? Now get one 3 times the size of this. It's wait, how did that work that way? We're not advocating spanking kids and whooping kids with heels and frying pans and things of that nature.
Frying
we are not
pans.
advocating any of that. We're just telling our experience.
So when did I start tithing? Man, I think, so I was going to say when I got my first real job, but so I started my first real job. I worked at In-N-Out when I was 16. I started working there when I was 16, but I didn't start tithing then yet. So remember, I told you in a previous podcast, we shared with people before, I wasn't necessarily a Christian, went to church, grew up in a church kind of thing. I wasn't a CME Christian, Mother's Day, Easter Christian. I was a CE Christian. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, so I didn't start tithing then. I didn't start tithing until I started worked for the phone company. I worked for, at the time it was called Pacific Bell, and then it changed to like SBC. So I was actually a 411 operator.
Come on, when we have 411
A
where you can
directory
pick up the phone and
assistant.
call.
Yes.
Hey, can you patch me into the Cheesecake Factory?
We didn't
off
patch people
Dysart?
into anywhere. We just gave them the phone number.
Oh, never mind. I went way back, guys. Sorry.
So I was a directory assistance operator. Funny story about that. We couldn't
Did
use
people flirt with you a lot?
No, I can't say that they did. I mean, why would you flirt with somebody just over the phone?
I mean,
of
if
their
somebody
voice?
sound good.
Fair.
I'm not saying I'm gonna meet you because your voice, you could look way different than your voice.
100% true.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing about it though was that we couldn't use our real names. We had to use.
What was your alias?
So my alias was Brayla.
Come on, Brayla.
Why is that so funny?
I don't know. But why are you gonna be called Brayla from now on?
Oh no.
When I'm upset with you, I'll be like, Brayla.
Wow.
Brayla. Did you get to choose your own, or did they picked it for you?
So actually, it was a friend of mine, her niece. She told me that was her niece's name, and so you had to pick something like that was creative,
Yeah.
catchy, something people would be like, "Oh, I really like your name,"
Yeah.
kind of thing, and that happened often.
Yeah.
People would say that. So yeah, it was
Brayla.
Brayla.
I think if I had worked for the phone company, my name probably would have been Dre Creesh.
We're gonna pause and take a moment of silence.
But anyway, with tithing, so you started tithing when you got a job at the
phone company, because I felt like that was like a real job.
Yeah.
Like I had like actual like hours. I was a full-time employee and stuff like that, and that's when I actually started tithing.
Okay. Was it like you were at one of those services where they were like pushing like give or you'll go to hell, or like what was the dynamic of like motivation to tithe?
I think I just had good teaching on what tithing was. Now, granted, I did experience the whole, like you were at an auction and they needed people to give, $100 here, $100 here, $200 here, $1,000 here. Yeah, it like was totally an experience at a service like that before. But, and you always felt like guilty.
Yeah.
Like they put you on blast. Like if you didn't get up and weren't part of the people who were given like the $100.
Yeah.
And then they went down to like, they would say like whoever's left.
Right.
That would be the people you like who didn't have the $100 to give. That was always wrong.
Shame.
Yeah.
Stand of shame.
Totally. But I think it was just a good teaching that I had. The
That's
pastor of the church that I grew up in, so to speak, he taught the benefits of tithing and giving and the sacrifice and the blessing that came from that.
Yeah.
And so I definitely was compelled to do so when I had a real job.
It's funny that like I grew up in church, so my experience is a little bit different. I heard about giving tithing pretty much all my life. But you know what actually for me did it for tithing was when I heard a preacher explain it. He said, even if tithing wasn't in the Bible, even if giving wasn't in the Bible, he said, Jesus has been so good to me that my response to anyone who does something of that magnitude was to be a giver.
Wow.
And when he said it, it clicked for me. So my tithe has never been connected to like, you got to give the 10% or this is going to happen. It's more been like, hey, man, he died for my sins. He's gracious to me. He's loving. He's blessed me with a family, a wife, kids. And out of just the sheer gratitude, I want to be a part of helping people through finances to be able to be a blessing to other people who find Christ and have that same experience. So that's what did it for me with tithing.
Yeah.
Now we say that as church planners, reality is that 3 out of 4 church plants fail within the first 3 years because of funding.
Wow.
3 out of 4.
Wow.
And these are people who got a word from God, felt a burden for a city or a state, felt the call to walk and step out in faith to plant the church. And their churches fold because of the lack of resources. And this is my perspective is that I don't always think that a church folding is God's will. I think sometimes the reason why a church folds is not because they got it wrong. Like, are there some people that probably plant that God didn't tell them to plant? Absolutely. Are there some people who didn't really hear the word or how it was supposed to happen. Absolutely. But I just think that there are some churches, some people who get that burden, that the only reason why their church didn't succeed is because the people who were supposed to release something to resource that church withheld it.
Wow.
Because I think at the end of the day, we see a tremendous move of God when people get together and do something.
Right.
Miracles, a lot of times we see miracles like the manna falling and the quail coming in and God supernaturally providing. But then there are other times in the Bible where we see miracles happen because of community. We see miracles happen because of a people that get together and do something. I always believe that faith has friends.
Yeah, that's good.
That sometimes your faith is built and what you're able to accomplish is based on the amount of partnership and collaboration that is actually involved in that scenario or that dynamic. So when we talk about like giving and we talk about church, I just personally believe that in order to have a kingdom-minded church, in order to have a church that reaches people, in order to have a church that creates an environment, a vibe for people to experience God, man, we have to talk about giving. Yeah. And we have to talk about how that is important to the kingdom. Now I'll say this. For those people who are watching the podcast and you know us, like you know us, I feel like we have been faithful long enough for a period of time where people have seen our hearts, seen how we serve. And I believe that some of you know that this is a good place to sow.
Yeah.
You know that it's a good place to invest. We've never been about the limelight. We've never been about getting rich or becoming popular. That's not who we are.
No, not at all.
And so for those who know us, we're asking you to give. And we're asking you to give big because we just believe that the greatest harvest comes from our greatest sowing seasons. And so I believe that there's a blessing for other people on the other side of this. And we're just trusting that people are going to hear from the Lord and they're going to give.
Yeah. I like how you said that, people know us, we've never been about the limelight, but we have served the valley.
Yeah.
In so many different ways, right? Like over the last, 9 years that we've been here, I believe we've given service to the valley. We've done things like marriage counseling. We had Decide to Thrive, which was our ministry, so to speak, to married, single families. We had different, what do we call them? LSRs, love, sex, and relationship events, where people could come and just get the word, get practical tips and practical wisdom, practical tools to help better their relationships. Right?
And what's crazy is that I think all of our events outside of the last one that we had were free.
Yep, they all were free. Yeah. We started in the Burton Bar Library. Was it Burton Bar Library?
Burton Bar Library, just me and you.
Yep.
Bringing stuff upstairs, sweating, turning around and teaching 2 hours to singles, 2 hours to married people, and breaking it all down just the two of us.
All because we wanted to pour into the community. Yeah. We wanted to equip people with the tools to better their relationships because it starts at home, right?
It does, yeah.
Seeing better communities, seeing a better city, seeing a better nation, a better world all starts at home.
That's it.
And so we wanted to be intentional about pouring into relationships to better relationships. Yeah. And so that was one of the many ways we served the valley. We did small groups. We had a single small group at one point, which was great.
I remember never a small group.
Never a small group.
No.
Never small. Even our time on staff at Faith Christian Center, we served the community in the sense of pouring into the kids and the youth. I was the children's minister. You were the youth pastor. And we never looked at it as like, they're the generation of tomorrow. Right. We poured into them as though they were the generation of today, of right now. Yeah. And we wanted to make sure to equip them for the world and the time that they're living in currently. Yeah. And so we've served the community in so many ways. And I think, we say that, we put that out there to say that even if you don't know us, we have a heart for people. We have a heart to see people thrive.
That's it.
And so what better place to give to?
Yeah. We want to paint a picture because we believe that people give to people and people give to vision. And so let's talk about the West Valley for a second.
Okay.
So the West Valley is where we're planting Thrive City Church. And we looked up this statistic and it said currently, right now, there are 1.7 million people in the West Valley.
That's crazy.
That's a lot of people.
That's crazy. I remember when we first moved here.
Yeah.
There wasn't a 303.
There
remember
wasn't.
They were just
It was
building it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were just building it, and there
It was
wasn't
like Speed. You know, remember the movie Speed?
It
When
was
bus
the
had to
missing,
come,
the
there was a
missing
piece right there.
overpass and
That's
stuff.
What, that's
yeah,
what
yeah.
it was when we got here.
Right.
There wasn't a whole bunch of houses.
Nope,
and
none of
things
that was in the West
nature.
Valley at all.
Yeah, when we got here, we've always been in the West Valley.
Yeah.
We just kind of we started at 75th and McDowell, and we've just moved more west
More
each
west.
time.
More west each time.
So 1.7 million people, and it's predicted that by 2030, just a short 6 years from now, there are going to be 2.1 million people.
Wow.
In the West Valley.
That's a huge increase.
So literally, the West Valley is supposed to make up 43% of all the growth in Maricopa County.
That's crazy.
43%.
Come on, West Valley.
Now, here's the thing.
Catch the vision,
We said this. If everybody showed up to church, if everybody decided to show up to church, we don't have enough churches.
Nope.
We can't have enough services. There's not enough resources for that. And so you ask the question of why? Why another church? Why the West Valley? We believe Matthew 9, verse 37, it says, the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. And I just think with the amount of people that God is sending to the West Valley, that we should be in tiptoe anticipation for the new churches and ministries that are going to be coming to the West Valley.
Yeah.
We've already said that we're going to be praying for churches in the West Valley and all over.
Yeah.
Because the harvest is plentiful. But right now, man, what is needed and what we're going to see, it's not even comparison.
Yeah. We definitely need people that are kingdom minded, right?
Can we talk about that for a second?
We can.
Can we talk about that for a second?
We can.
I may get in trouble. One thing that hurts my heart is this territorialism when it comes to churches, where it's like, don't plant your church here, don't plant it there because it's too close or it's this or that. And the truth is that I have loved being able to connect with some of the pastors in the West Valley that have given such encouragement to say, man, for the need that's out here, man, yes, come to the West Valley. We need more churches out here because of what God is doing and how many people need to be touched with the message of Christ. And so my prayer is that who God sends to help us are kingdom minded, not church minded.
Right. And we've even seen, one of the churches that we visited where they actually take the time out to pray for the various churches, especially the new plants that are here in the valley.
Yeah.
They take the time out to make sure that they cover them because they understand what comes with the journey of planting a church. Yeah. And so it's not about competition. It's not about who's better. It's an understanding that as the body of Christ, we need to be all things to all men, and we can't do that alone. Yeah. We can't do that with just one or two churches. Yeah. But as the body of Christ, we have a mission and a call to go ye therefore. Yeah. And I love seeing the camaraderie and the unity of the churches that we have recently come in contact with, and the pastors that we've recently, connected with, to reach specifically the West Valley. It's just been a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And I'm going to say something. This is just on my heart. I'm going to say something.
Okay.
If you see that we are African Americans, and I think one of the things that our heart really is drawn toward is not having a church that just reflects us, but having a church that reflects heaven. And so if you are of a different race, different culture, different background, we want you to come. Because at the end of the day, when people come into a church, this is just the truth. They usually are looking for themselves. So if they are a couple with kids, they're looking for other couples with kids. If they're single in their 30s, they're looking for other single people in their 30s. If they are of another race, they're looking for themselves.
Right.
And so with that being the dynamic, you could be a part of helping a West Valley church to become a place that looks more like heaven. I think it was Martin Luther King that said the day of greatest separation and segregation is Sunday morning. And it's like, it's sad.
It is.
Because heaven don't look like that.
Right.
And I just said it that way on purpose. Heaven don't look like that. It is bad vocabulary, but good theology. And so we're asking for kingdom-minded people who are willing to give of their time, their talent, their treasure, and their trust. Now, that last one, you may be like, trust. It takes trust to reach out to another person that you know to say, hey, I believe that you should be a part of this as well. Mm-hmm. And so we're
putting
asking
yourself on the line when you say that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Time, treasure, talent. We absolutely need all of those things.
And I think one of the things that really needs to be emphasized, obviously, because we're talking about giving, is treasure, right? Yeah. You know, I thought about an interesting illustration with what it comes to how the importance of giving your treasure, giving money. Let's just be honest. We're talking about giving money to be a resource.
Because you're going to have those people be like, oh, I give my time.
Right.
I give my talent.
Right.
I give my trust. But you can't have my money, my
Not
treasure.
My money. Not my money. But I thought about an illustration of like on a car, you know, when you have a car and a car has different components that cause the car to be able to do what it's supposed to do, right? Yeah. You have an engine, you have a transmission, you have the spark plugs, you have all those different things. And there are certain things that are required for a car to function. You need like the transmission fluid, you need the motor oil, you need all of those things. But one thing a car absolutely needs. Absolutely needs. It can have all of those other components. It can have the tires, it can have the trunk, the steering wheel, have all of those things. But one thing it absolutely needs is gas.
Yeah.
Without gas, it can't go to where it's supposed to go and do what it's supposed to do. So one thing that as churches we need is money to function.
We need gas.
We need the gas.
If we're going to go somewhere, if God is going to create the vehicle, which is the gospel to get people to a certain place, it's going to take resources. I've heard someone say that salvation is free for us.
Right.
It cost him.
Yeah.
But getting the message out to people takes resources.
Absolutely.
So we want to give you a couple goals. So our giving goals is that we want to raise $400,000 by April of this year, 2024, and then a total of $600,000 by launch, which is in September. September 8th is the launch day. So what are these resources? What is your funds? What is your money, your hard-earned money going to be going toward? We have to find facilities. We have operations, staffing needs, equipment, outreach, marketing. When it comes to outreach specifically, we want to be in a position where we don't have to ask people to give, but we can go into a community and say, we're coming to give. Yeah. We're going out into the community to give so that even the thought of they just want my money doesn't come to mind.
Right.
Because we came with our hands open wide to provide and to give.
Right. And we don't want to wait for the church to launch or be started in September to do the outreach. We want to do it now because there's need now.
Yeah.
There are people who are in need now. And so we're asking for resources to come in so that we can go take those very same resources and be a blessing to the community and to the West Valley.
Yeah, we're talking about doing Christmas in July where we're just giving to people. Sometimes it's hard when summertime comes for parents because now their kids are home all day.
And we know
long
all about that with 4 teenagers in the house who eat us out of house and home.
And your grocery bill goes from this to that. And it's like, can y'all please go back to school? Where is the year-round school?
Not year-round.
So we don't have a plan B, guys. There's no plan B. The plan is God told us to do this. He put it on our heart, burdened us to do it. We've sat with it for almost a year. We knew about it 10 years ago.
Right.
Just didn't know the timing of it. And so there's no plan B for us. We're doing something else. This is what God has called us to do. And we're putting everything that we have into making this a reality.
And we believe that if God called us to do it, the provision is out there.
Come on.
The question is, will you partner with us?
Yep.
Will you allow yourself to be the one that God uses to bring the provision to see the fulfillment of what he's called us to do be done on the earth?
As it is in heaven. So, ways to partner. We're asking that you give a one-time sizable gift. Whatever that is, pray and ask the Lord what that would be. We're asking for some people to partner with us for 36 months. Can you make a 36-month commitment to giving a specific amount? What this allows us to do is to be able to project in the future what it is that we'll be able to do because we want to be good stewards over the resources that God sends us. We want to ask if it is that you're in the position, you're maybe in between churches or whatever it may be, to send your tithe and your offering to Thrive City Church. Those tithes and those offerings are going toward helping us to reach more people with the message of Christ. And then share with others. I believe that you have friends, you have families, you have organizations, nonprofits, even your own church. I'll be challenging people.
You do.
I would challenge you that I believe a church that's not investing into something missional is missing it.
Wow.
Because if the whole thing is about go ye therefore into all the world and baptize and to teach and disciple, if we're not helping other churches to do that, I think we have shrink God down to a size that's palatable for us and forgot about the world that's in need of a savior.
That's good.
Our church can only reach so many people. And so what are you doing missionally? So I'm challenging churches. I'm challenging pastors, not just us. There are church plants all around the valley.
Yeah.
Get involved with somebody to help them to get off the ground and to be able to be sustained to reach more people with the kingdom message. We have multiple ways that you can give. We got like Zelle, Cash App, text to give, giving online. We made all those available for just convenience purposes.
We want to make it easy for you to give.
Easy as possible. If you need help spelling 1 million, I just email me and I got you. I definitely will make sure that you get that one in. But go to thrivecitychurch.org and you can click on the giving tab. And there's all the different things that you've heard. We even have a page on the website that talks a little bit more about us. There was a podcast episode about introducing who we are, things that we've done in the Valley. We want to make it to where we come together and we do something together that we could not do separately.
Yeah.
You have anything you want to leave the people with when it comes to giving or anything of that nature?
No, I mean, it may sound cliche, but, just the whole idea of that it's better to give than to receive.
It is.
There definitely is a blessing in giving.
Yeah.
And I believe the blessing also comes through the obedience of the follow through of it.
That's good. That's good. Well, listen, thank you so much for your time. We believe that God did not design you to survive, but he designed you to thrive. We love you, and we'll see you soon.
Love you guys.